In this video, we're going to add and subtract rational expressions. We're going to start with arithmetic, and then we're going to move on to algebra. Don't forget that rational expressions are just fractions. Remember that when you add and subtract fractions, you need to find a common denominator. So if I look at this first example here, 1/15 plus 1/15, we already have a common denominator, which is 15, so we can just combine the numerators here. But let's break down what's actually going on. To find a common denominator, you would factor the denominators, which I've done here. And to build the LCD, what you want to make sure is that you don't repeat any factors. So if I look at the two factorings here, obviously they're the same because they share a 3 and they share a 5. So when I build the common denominator, I only want to count 3 once, and I only want to count the 5 once. And that's how I get a common denominator of 15. But this was obvious here because these were the same. So when we come over here, these are not the same. So let's build the common denominator. So I start by factoring the denominators. Do they have any factors in common? They do not. When this happens, this is the easiest case. The common denominator, I'm going to take the 3, and also the 2 and the 5 to make my lowest common denominator here, which is going to be 90. Now I need to multiply by what was missing compared to the LCD. So for example, this has a 3 and a 3 as a factor, but it doesn't have the 2 and the 5. So I need to multiply numerator and denominator by 2 times 5, which is 10. Over here I have the 2 and the 5, but I don't have the 3 and the 3. 3 times 3 is 9, so I need to multiply numerator and denominator by 9. And when I do that, I get 10 over 90 plus 9 over 90, which is 19 over 90. On this last example, I factor the denominators. Now in this case, they do have a factor in common. So I can't just multiply 6 times 21 to get the lowest common denominator. Since they have 3 in common, I only count that once in the LCD. Anything else they don't have in common, I also include in the LCD. So in this case, the LCD would be 42. To figure out what I need to multiply to get to 42, this first denominator has the 2 and the 3, but it doesn't have the 7, so I need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 7. Over here, we have a 3 and a 7, but we don't have the 2. So I multiply numerator and denominator by 2. That's going to give me 7 over 42 minus 2 over 42, and then I can combine the numerators, which is 5 over 42. So we're going to take these same principles, move on down to the algebra, and apply the same ideas. So the first step, just like I did with the arithmetic, is to factor the denominators to see what they're made up of. So, factored form of this denominator is 5x times x plus 2. This is over here as 10 times x minus 2, but I broke it down a little further to 5 times 2 times x minus 2. So the first thing I would do is check, do these denominators already have anything in common? The answer is yes, they both have a factor of 5. So I only include that in the denominator, in the lowest common denominator once. Now I include everything else. So I need this 2. I need this x. I need this factor of x plus 2 and this factor of x minus 2. Notice, just for the sake of ease, I put the binomial factors last. So now I need to multiply numerator and denominator by what's missing compared to the LCD. Well, this denominator has the 5, it has an x, it has an x plus 2. What it doesn't have is the 2 and the x minus 2. So that's what I need to multiply by over here. This denominator over here has the 5, has the 2, it doesn't have the x, doesn't have the x plus 2, but it does have the x minus 2. So this side needs to be multiplied by x times x plus 2 over x times x plus 2. Now if I clean this up a little bit over here, I know this is going to be the common denominator in the end. So all I really need to worry about now, for the sake of making this as easy as possible for myself, is just simplifying the numerators. Now this is going to be easy here because we're multiplying by 1. But if it was something else, you're going to actually have to do that multiplication. So here when I multiply 2x minus 1 times 1, I just get 2 times x minus 1. Plus, over here, 1 times x plus 2 is x times x plus 2. And now I'm just going to simplify. I'm going to distribute. I'm going to distribute here. And then I'm going to combine like terms, and I get x squared plus 4x minus 4. And now I will take my common denominator and I will put it back. The last step is going to see if I can factor the numerator and see if I can get anything to cancel. In this case, I'm not going to be able to find 2 factors of -4 that add to 4. So this is my simplified final answer.